We now have Tropical Storm Idalia located here just east of the Yucatan Peninsula. Winds right now at 40 miles per hour, pressure down to 996 millibars. This after the hurricane hunters flew through and found those 40-mile-per-hour winds and that pressure right there, confirming we do have that tropical strength inside of this storm system. As far as the forecast is concerned, not much of a change from our last update, but it is still expected to become a Category 1, and it's slightly shifted east, very, very slightly. And overall, you still want to continue to pay attention to this cone of air out here across the Big Bend of Florida. But it's the intensity, I think, that is still a little bit uncertain. We're pretty confident this is about where this is going to be going here as we go ahead through the day on Wednesday, making landfall there Wednesday morning just after sunrise, and then pushing across the first coast right over Lake City, Waycross area, and then scooting off there towards the north. So here's some of the main points. Expect this to make landfall as a hurricane. If it does continue to make this track that we're expecting here, the tornado threat on that dirty side, the right side of the storm, is going to be a threat here across the state of Florida. And the landfall is going to be around the same time as the supermoon. Now, that's important because we're going to be looking at these extra high tides, especially on the Gulf Coast with this storm system. Take a look at some of the model guidance. Those are still just a bit spread here from Panama City back across Big Bend, but overall, we're going to continue to monitor this over the next few days. I still think the intensity is the uncertain factor here because it's going to be moving over some exceptionally warm sea surface temperatures here across the Gulf of Mexico, over 90 degrees in spots, which is going to really help spark up that intensity. Expected to make landfall as a Cat 1. Don't be surprised if it is a bit stronger than that. And then you can see just the dirty side of this as it moves across the first coast throughout the day on Wednesday. Heavy rainfall, the highest of the winds being across the Suwannee Valley, and of course there in the Big Bend area that's scooting there across southeastern Georgia through Wednesday night and into Thursday. And this is really going to see some of those water level rises possibly across southeast Georgia as those winds get dragged in from the southeast. But we're not seeing in this storm a similar setup as we did with Irma or Nicole from last year, even Ian for that matter. We had those northeast winds well ahead of it. We're not seeing that in this particular storm as it's coming in from the southwest. Think really it's going to be a big wind event, down trees, things like that for our inland areas. Taking a look at those sea surface temperatures, this is what I'm talking about. That is a lot of fuel for this storm system to strengthen. So biggest impacts for the first coast specifically, inland areas where you could be looking at those damaging winds up, but there's a 50 to 60 mile per hour gust, downing trees, power outages, things like that. But the worst of the weather definitely going to be along the Gulf Coast. So we're going to, of course, keep you updated on this storm system as we look ahead over the next few days with the newest information. By the way, I also do want to mention Franklin, which is still out here, located well towards the east of Florida, even east of the Bahamas. It is expected to become a Category 4, though. Pretty powerful storm system, but the good news, it is going to stay west of Bermuda, east of the United States. I am expecting some pretty large swells. So as we're watching Idalia come in from the south, we are going to be looking at these large waves kick up here from the east too. So large surf on both coasts of the Florida Peninsula here by Tuesday. All right. Check out firstcoastnews.com, Hurricane Central. There is more information there. Every time we have our newest tropical updates, we're going to keep you posted on there as well. I'm meteorologist Robert Speta. Yeah, we're going to continue to track this storm.